There's a female brother of mine in Hanqing. We're so close that we share the same bed and eat the same ice cream. I told them to keep their distance, he snapped. If something was going to happen between us, it would have happened already. Can't you give us a little trust? Fine, so I went and found myself a male bestie one. The next time Hanqing stayed out all night with Jiangmin, I remained very calm. He came back at noon, bringing pastries from Hangfula. When he saw me, he rarely took the initiative to explain. We hadn't gathered for a long time, so I had a bit too much to drink. I ended up crashing at an esports hotel, but this time we didn't share a bed. I slept on the floor. He emphasized this point. After all, we had a huge fight over something similar last time. I accused him of having no boundaries as a married man, and I kept pushing to confront Jiangmin about it. Jiangmin is a girl he grew up with in the same compound. She's a girl, but very easygoing and carefree by nature. He gets along with everyone like a brother. I've seen Jiangmin more than once sitting boldly on the laps of these men, joking and laughing, even sharing a drink glass without a care. At first, he explained patiently, then, fed up, he just threw out, if something was going to happen, it would have happened long before you married me, and slammed the door on his way out. The ridiculous part is, his friend tried to convince me, Jiangmin has grown up right in front of us. That's just how she is. Hanqing sees her as a child. A child? Does 25 still count as a child? It disgusted me so much that I said if he couldn't avoid suspicion, we should get a divorce. After that, Han City did keep some distance from Jiangmin for a while, but the result was that Jiangmin would take every opportunity in public to throw shade at me. Sister-in-law, see, I'm not sitting next to Brother Han, am I, Brother Han? Don't bother joining us for the second round, or sister-in-law might get upset. Brother Han is not the same Brother Han anymore. He's got a rope around his neck. I wouldn't dare get too close. She said all these things only when I was present. Naturally, this created an awkward atmosphere. Over time, I became known to everyone as petty, jealous, and unreasonable. It was also around that time that my relationship with Hanqing grew distant and indifferent. Snap back to reality. I looked at the takeout package in Hanqing's hand. It used to be my favorite meal, but now it felt utterly tasteless. Noticing my coldness, Hanqing set the takeout on the table, walked over, and pulled me into an embrace. His voice carried a coaxing tenderness. Honey, haven't you always wanted to go to the movies? I'm not going to the office today. We can go see that film you've been wanting to watch. I hear it's really good. I had been looking forward to that movie for a long time. As soon as it was released, I asked Hanqing to go with me. He said he was busy. A few days later, I saw Jiangmin showing off movie tickets on her moments. 2 tickets, no faces were shown, but in the photo, a slender-boned hand with Hanqing's wedding ring on the ring finger made an appearance. I caught the faint, elusive scent of pear blossoms on Hanqing, pulled away without expression, and refused. No need. I kept busy packing my luggage. Luin Bai. Hanqing's voice flared with anger, seeing what I was doing. He reached out and grabbed my hand. Are you pulling the running away stunt again? I've already told you, there's nothing between me and Jiangmin. I know. I calmly withdrew my hand. You're just brothers. He seemed stumped by my reply. Hanqing looked uncomfortable, awkwardly letting go of my hand, and frowned. Then what are you upset about? I'm going on a business trip, I explained. Hanqing's expression darkened even more. He stared at me for a long time, as if trying to see through any pretense in my face. But there was nothing at all. My reaction remained calm throughout, because I just don't care anymore which movie he watches with whom, who he spends the night out with, who he goes on dates with, whatever, too. So clearly I wasn't angry, but Hanqing got even angrier. As if convinced that I was sulking with him, he unilaterally decided to make amends and pulled out his phone to book movie tickets. I watched him fumble around anxiously. Finally, I couldn't help but softly remind him, that movie has already been taken off the shelves. Hanqing's finger froze on the screen. In that moment, I saw several different emotions flash across his face. The air was thick with silent tension. The food on the table grew cold. Bit by bit, I bent down, packed the last item into the suitcase, and closed it. After that day, Hanqing suddenly became enthusiastic toward me. During my few days away on a business trip, he sent his regards at dawn and dusk, persistently asking when I would return. I told him on the day I returned. As I exited the airport, I saw his car, a black Bugatti, parked by the roadside. Seeing me, he quickly got out of the car and naturally walked over to take my suitcase. But when I followed him to the car and looked at the front passenger seat, I saw Jiangmin. She sat there with her legs carelessly crossed, one hand resting on the car window. Seeing me, she gave a sweet smile. Sister-in-law, just hitchhiking, I'll give you the front seat in a bit. She was grinning coyly. That's what she said, but she made no move to get up. Han Ching put the luggage away and came over. Seeing me standing still, he said in an uneasy tone, she happened to be nearby, so I said I'd give her a ride. She gets carsick, so I'm letting her sit up front for this stretch. During our previous arguments, I had dug up the old grievance of Jiang Min always grabbing the front passenger seat every time we went out together, but before I could say a word, Jiang Min had already poked her head out of the car window and chimed in with a smile in her eyes. It's a good thing Brother Han was nearby today, otherwise, in that godforsaken place I was in, I couldn't have even hailed a cab. Sister-in-law, don't you believe me? There's a chat log in the group. That group was their childhood friend group from the courtyard. I wasn't in that group, of course. If Brother Han had refused to come to my rescue, I would have tattled to the adoptive parents, Jiang Min continued, pretending to punch Han Ching in the chest. Her arm stopped halfway, as if she suddenly remembered something, and she withdrew it, then blinked at me with lingering fear. Sister-in-law, I'm just used to this, didn't mean anything by it. Ever since the big fight with Han Ching last time, Jiang Min had gone from touching and shoving without restraint to doing so with feigned caution. It seems that it was my own pettiness that made her deliberately keep her distance from Han Ching. But if Jiang Min truly intended to keep her distance, why did she soon start staying out all night with them again and going on private dates? I could even clearly sense a faint, almost imperceptible provocation in her eyes. Such petty tricks would have angered me in the past, but now, I couldn't be bothered to deal with it. Even when Han Ching asked Jiang Min to get out of the car, I simply waved my hand and opened the rear door. Whatever, I have a friend anyway, we're heading the same way, I'll sit in the back with him. Friend, where? Before I could even process Han Ching's surprise, I heard someone call my name. When I looked back, my face immediately changed color. I saw a handsome guy with broad shoulders and a narrow waist, dressed in flashy clothes, excitedly chasing after me while dragging his suitcase. As soon as he stopped, he complained to me, "Yinyin, you're so disloyal, I just went to get my luggage, and you disappeared in the blink of an eye." The man said this as he pitifully wrapped himself around my arm, whining and acting cute. I don't know anyone around here. You have to take responsibility for me. 3. This was the scene. This stunned both Han Ching and Jiang Min at the same time. Soon, Han Ching snapped out of it and pulled me over. Is this the friend you mentioned? His voice carried displeasure as he stared at the man before him, his brow furrowed so deeply it could squash a mosquito. That's right, I'm Yinin's bestie, Cui Nanchu. Cui Nanchu shook Han Ching's hand warmly and naturally, tossed the luggage into the trunk, plopped into the back seat, and waved excitedly at me. Yinin, get in quick. I started to get in, but Han Ching blocked me. Honey, men and women shouldn't be too familiar with each other. It's not appropriate for you to sit next to another man, is it? He was so close to me that I thought I could hear his teeth grinding together. Confused, I said, he's just a friend. Out of the corner of my eye, I glanced at Jiang Min, still sitting steadily in the passenger seat. For a moment, Han Ching was speechless. Cui Nanchu kept chatting with me throughout the ride, making the front seat seem especially quiet. It wasn't that Jiang Min didn't speak, she had a lively, unpredictable temperament. Every time they went out, she would chatter non-stop at Han Ching, from embarrassing childhood moments to the latest gossip in their residential compound. The two would go back and forth, but they always talked about things I, left in the back seat, could never join in on. But today, no matter how many topics Jiang Min brought up, Han Ching remained indifferent. A 30-minute drive was over. In 15, after seeing the two off, he voluntarily opened the passenger door. Come sit in the front. I glanced up for no particular reason, stayed put in the back seat like a mountain, and declined indifferently. I'm fine in the back, I'm tired, let's just head back quickly. I closed my eyes to rest. In the silence, Han Ching closed the car door harder and louder than ever before. Han Ching walked into the house with a dark look on his face. I had just changed my shoes and stepped out of the entryway when I saw him sitting in the living room, smoking. The crimson glow of the flame flickered across his face, his expression shifting between light and shadow. What's your relationship with that guy? Han City took a deep drag of his cigarette, stubbed it out fiercely in the ashtray, then looked up and asked me. I looked at him and said flatly, we're like sisters. A guy who's over 1.8 meters tall is like a sister to you, Luin Bai. You went on this business trip with him, didn't you? You've been staying with him, a grown man, for days. The more he spoke, the angrier he got. Han City gave the suitcase a fierce kick. I also got angry, unzipped my suitcase, and seeing the fury on his face, retorted, my travel partner is either a man or a woman. He has a good personality and is easy to get along with. What's wrong with calling him a sister? Of course there's something wrong. He's a man. What kind of sister is a man? Why not? If you can have a bro who's a girl, why can't you have a sister who's a guy? My remark left him stumped. I had never seen such a wide range of vivid expressions on Han Chang's face. There was shock, regret, and frustration. Finally, he nearly ground out the words through clenched teeth. Jiang Min is different. She grew up with us. If anything were going to happen between us, it would have. I'm different from Cui Nanchi too. Can we give each other a little trust? I cut him off. Speaking with conviction. 5. Han Qing was deflated. For several days in a row, he gave me the cold shoulder. A few days passed without much incident. His parents invited us over for a meal. At the dinner table, my in-laws noticed the tension between us and took subtle jabs at Han Qing. Qing, Yining has moved far away for your sake, so you must not treat her badly. Han Qing and I were university classmates. I am an only child, according to the original plan. I should have returned to my hometown to work after graduation, but for his sake, I resolutely stayed here. Hearing what his parents said, Han Cheng's expression softened. Before leaving, he took the initiative to hold my hand and said, Yining, Before he could finish, Han Cheng felt an arm wrap around his neck. Han, you're finally back, let's hang out together. It was Jiang Min once again. She didn't hesitate to put her arm around Han Cheng's shoulder. This time, however, instead of responding with a smile as before, Han Cheng shook off her hand and looked nervously toward me. Jiang Min noticed me too, let out a tch, then winked and made faces as she said, so this is the sister-in-law. With that, she deliberately took a big step back, right into the arms of the group of people who had followed her. Han Cheng, you little brat, you came back but didn't say a word in the group chat. If Jiang Min hadn't spotted you, you would have slipped away unnoticed. Exactly, it's rare for everyone to be here. How about a get-together? The group started egging him on. Han Cheng's face clearly showed he was tempted, but unlike before, he didn't agree right away. Instead, he looked at me for approval. The others noticed this too. Even though we were married, his circle of friends, kept a certain distance from me. One reason was that I wasn't part of their scene, and the other was Jiang Min. They can't really let loose when I'm at their party. How about we go join them? Han Cheng asked tentatively. Almost at the same moment, I felt the tension in the air. Jiang Min was even more obvious, pursing her lips and constantly signaling to people around her. Everyone was waiting for my answer, not really wanting me to go, yet expecting me to let Han Cheng go. As they wished, I withdrew my hand from Han Cheng's palm, my voice calm and gentle, and said, then I'll just take a taxi home myself. No one spoke. The atmosphere began to fall into a strange silence. After a long pause, Han Cheng seemed to hesitate, as if both relieved and guilt-ridden. Well, I'll come back early, he uttered a reassuring promise. As for me, I just smiled and walked straight out of the yard. As I turned my back, someone suddenly burst out, Han Cheng, has your wife changed? She's not jealous of Jiang Min anymore. She actually lets you hang out with us. 6:11:00 p.m. Han Cheng hadn't returned. I didn't ask either, because I just made plans with Cui Nanchu together with a few friends. We went to the liveliest bar in town. The pounding music hammered against our eardrums, bringing a reckless, carefree feeling that made us forget everything else. Our group found a spacious booth and soon got into the swing of things. After a few rounds of drinks, the person next to me suddenly pointed excitedly at a spot and shouted, holy crap, that's some wild stuff going on over there. Everyone perked up immediately, full of curiosity, and turned their heads in unison. I turned around too, a glance, a gathering of old acquaintances. At the table not far away sat Han Cheng's childhood friends from the courtyard, 7 men and 1 woman, with liquor bottles piled high on the table. Han Cheng was seated at the head of the table. His face was hard to make out from a distance, but from his movements, he seemed to be looking down at his phone. Soon, Jiang Min snatched the phone from his hand, then she straddled him, wrapped her arms around his neck, and raised a liquor bottle. No one batted an eye. Instead, they stood up and began egging them on. Looks like they're playing King's game, feeding each other mouth to mouth. That girl's a legend. She was told to take off her bra, and without missing a beat, she pulled it out and hung it around the neck of the guy next to her. 10 zhang feis on horseback couldn't beat that move. I've seen a man riding a woman, but never 7 men and 1 woman. Everyone was laughing, but I wasn't, because I saw Han City put down his phone, and amid the crowd's jeers, let Jiang Min bend down with the wine in her mouth, parting her lips to respond. Disgusting to the core. 7. Jiang Min didn't get to feed him the wine, because I walked over, I slapped each of them once. The scene turned very ugly. Han Cheng's group of brothers tried to smooth things over, saying it was just a joke, while Jiang Min looked aggrieved and said she was just playing a game. As for me, expressionless, I threw the bra she had left hanging on another man onto her face and turned away. If you like playing around so much, wait until Han Cheng and I get divorced and then go have your fun. Before leaving, I said I was serious, because I was truly tired, but Han Cheng didn't agree. He chased me all the way home. Honey, we were just playing games. Jiang Min has always fooled around with us like that. We never even saw her as a girl. Honey, you've already lost your temper. Fine, I promise from now on, I won't mess around with them like that. Luin Bai, I never said you came to the bar with a bunch of guys either. The more he tried to calm me down, the more impatient he got. Finally, he grabbed his hair and yelled at me. By now, I had already packed my luggage. I have a lot of stuff. I can't pack it all at once, but I don't want to spend another second with him right now. Move. I looked coldly at his arm blocking my way, then shifted my gaze upward, my voice surprisingly calm. True disappointment isn't about making a scene, it's what I'm feeling right now. Nothing matters anymore. Han Qing was startled by my expression. His tall frame stiffened slightly, his wine-flushed face darkening as he gritted his teeth. Do you have to be so stubborn, Han Qing? Would you be okay with me sitting on Chui Nanchu like that? I asked. Han Qing froze. I sneered and stepped closer to him. You can't handle it. You saw us sitting in the back seat together on a business trip, and you got so angry you gave me the cold shoulder for days. So, why should I be expected to turn a blind eye? That's different. Han Qing blurted out. I'm a man, you're a woman. When I go out, no one takes advantage of me. Hearing Han Qing's words, my worldview was once again shattered. I even felt as if I was meeting this person for the first time. My body trembled uncontrollably as I said in disbelief. So, all of you knew all along. You knew Jiang Min's behavior was wrong, promiscuous, and disgusting, but just because she is a woman, you revel in it, enjoying the sense of accomplishment from taking advantage of her. Han Qing was rendered speechless by my retort. As if his fig leaf had been ripped away, his face turned pale and flushed, and he instinctively averted his gaze. I had hit the mark. I couldn't help but laugh. Choi Namwook, I brought him here on purpose just to annoy you, I said. Han Sung turned his gaze back to me, a look of delight on his face, because at first I thought you just didn't understand the proper boundaries between men and women, so I wanted you to learn by putting yourself in the same position, but I was wrong. It's not that you don't know. You just enjoy it. I pushed him away hard. Han Sung, a big man over 1.8 meters tall, fell to the ground without any warning. I turned a blind eye. Han Qing, let's get a divorce, or I will only look down on you more. 8. Han Qing did not agree to the divorce. He even brought my parents into it. Han Qing has a very good image in my parents' eyes, with high academic credentials, good looks, and intellectual parents. He started his own company right after graduation, and when we got married, he showed more than enough sincerity, so they sided with Han Qing to persuade me. Just a few days into trying to dissuade her, public opinion had already shifted. Because Han Qing became famous, someone had filmed the bar incident and posted the video online. Suddenly, the whole internet knew that Jiang Min had been sitting on a married man's lap, feeding him alcohol mouth to mouth, and got slapped repeatedly by his wife. Public opinion was one-sided. Everyone was cursing Jiang Min and Han Qing, so shameless, throwing herself at a married man, knowing he has a wife. It's not that she only throws herself at a married man, she'd do it to anyone. Didn't you see her bra hanging around the guy next to her? Holy crap, a city bus or something. The guy is gross too, packed in with so many people. Aren't they afraid of catching something? At first, Jiang Min argued back online, saying netizens had dirty minds that saw everything as dirty. Between her and the guys, it was just pure childhood friendship, growing up together, but the netizens weren't buying it. They started digging up her information like crazy, all kinds of accounts, and the more they dug, the more they found. She wore her bro's clothes, slept in his bed, drank from the same cup of milk tea, shared the same ice cream, and interlocked fingers with him. The worst time, she wrapped herself in a bath towel and snuck into the private male changing room to soak in the hot tub with her brothers. She recorded all of this in her daily posts, and between the lines, her complacency was evident. Jiang Min became famous, and Hanqing became famous. The people in his compound also became famous, all those with girlfriends broke up, and singles had no chance in the dating market either. Social media parodies called them Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Netizens said this was the worst time Snow White had ever been dragged through the mud. Watching all this, I felt a bit satisfied. Jiang Min was like a malignant tumor, growing larger and larger in the relationship between Hanqing and me. I tried to find a way to cut it out, but Hanqing never really cared. Now, the tumor has backfired, yet I've already pulled away in advance. After a few days of trending on the headlines, the public opinion was still suppressed. Hanqing and his crew were all wealthy and powerful rich kids in the local area, with overwhelming connections. Overnight, those negative comments were completely wiped out. Jiang Min's account was also completely cleared out. Just a few more days passed. Hanqing's parents came to see me. They begged me to go see Hanqing. He drank so much that he vomited blood. By the time he was found and taken to the hospital, he was already in a deep coma. After a night of emergency treatment, he barely survived. Lying in the hospital bed, he kept mumbling my name. I know this time Qingqing was wrong, but for the sake of the marriage you two had, please go see him. Yining, your father and I are begging you. I went to the hospital. Hanqing had lost a lot of weight. The loose hospital gown hung empty on him. His face was pale, almost translucent. Only when he saw me did a glimmer of light return to his forlorn face. I walked over and stopped him as he struggled to get up. When are you getting discharged? I asked. Hanqing's eyes brightened slightly as he struggled to speak. Next week. Yining, does that mean you're willing to forgive me? I promise. Just give me one more chance. I won't make the same mistakes again. I'll keep my distance from Jiang Min. Once you're discharged, we'll go through with the divorce. I shattered his illusion, watching Hanqing's face twist in agony, nearly distorted, large beads of sweat rolling down from his temples and jawline, his voice raspy as if filled with sand. Yining, I didn't cheat. You know it was all just fooling around. If you don't like it, I swear I'll draw a clear line with them from now on. Yining, I beg you, don't leave me. Seeing that I was unmoved, Hanqing simply rolled off the bed and knelt before me. The movement knocked over the force stand, sending everything crashing to the floor. The detaining needle was knocked askew, cutting the back of his hand and splattering blood. It was a miserable, pitiful sight. Hanqing had never looked like this before. He comes from a good family and is handsome. Girls had always flocked around him, proud as he was. When had he ever fawned over a woman? I should be touched, but I wasn't. I just looked down at him, with no intention of bending down to help him up, and shook my head as I refused. No, my coldness wounded Hanqing. I could clearly feel his pain and despair, along with a hint of incomprehension. It was Jiang Min who came onto us. Sure, I didn't say no, but I never did anything to betray you. Why do you have to keep harping on it? He broke down and roared. It seemed to have tugged at the wound, and blood soon seeped from his lower back and abdomen, a shocking, vivid red. The commotion quickly drew both sets of parents. Seeing this scene, the room descended into chaos. Yining, Hanqing did make a mistake, but the real culprit is Jiang Min. Our Hanqing only saw Jiang Min as a sister. He was deceived too. As the saying goes, it takes 100 years of cultivation to share a boat ride, and 1,000 years to share a pillow. Your journey together with Hanqing, we've all seen it. Must it really come to this? I promise, as long as you don't divorce Hanqing, from now on, the house, car, company, and savings will all be in your hands. If it happens again, Hanqing will leave with nothing. The father-in-law spoke up to give his guarantee. He holds absolute authority in the family. Sure enough, my parents were tempted. They showed hesitation on their faces. Yining, this time the Han family has shown some sincerity. Hanqing, he truly knows he was wrong. My mother pulled me aside and whispered. My father wanted to object, but my mother shut him up with a glare and pulled him by the ear. Old Lu, I know what you want to say. We can afford to raise our daughter, but the baby in Yining's belly needs a father too. Yes, I am pregnant 1 month. I had originally planned to find a chance to terminate it, but unexpectedly my parents found out. The elderly value life far more than one can imagine. They looked at Han City, and although they didn't voice their opinions, their expressions were more relaxed than when they first met him. Clearly, they intended to give Han City another chance. 9. In the end, I agreed to give Han City another chance, as long as he has no contact with Jiang Min for a month. I will no longer consider divorce. Witnessed by both sets of parents, his face lit up with joy as he readily agreed. He seemed to think my proposal was an easy thing for him. Both families also breathed a sigh of relief, but only I knew, for him, this was a bet he was bound to lose. 10. Hanqing blocked Jiang Min. He truly followed through on cutting off contact. He left the group chat unfollowed all accounts, and even showed me screenshots of his phone every day to guarantee that his feed was completely clean. Chui Nanchu was surprised to hear this. Inin, you're not thinking of getting back together with your ex-husband, are you? He leaned in, looking gossipy. He seemed to be joking around, but his body always kept a proper distance from mine. Chui Nanchu understood the issues between Hanqing and me. After being away on a business trip for a few days, he analyzed carefully and proposed a solution for me. Using your own spear to attack your own shield, let Hanqing get a taste of what it's like to have opposite-sex siblings, meaning friends of the opposite sex like siblings. The effect was quite noticeable. It's just that now, I see this man clearly. Our problem was never Jiang Min. Seeing Chui Nanchu's concern, I looked perfectly open and said, the outcome, divorce, will not change. Perhaps thinking that I had decided to consider it, both parents took it as me softening my stance. As for me, after seeing my parents off, I scheduled the abortion. That day was Jiang Min's birthday. How did I know? Because Jiang Min was the only girl in their compound, and every year on her birthday, everyone had to be present to celebrate it, rain or shine. I deliberately chose that day, not out of spite, but because I didn't want Hanqing to come and bother me that day. Chui Nanchu took me there. On the way, he cried even harder than I did. I'm serious. Keeping the child and leaving the father isn't out of the question. At worst, I could legally adopt my own kid. It's not like I'll ever get married anyway. Chui Nanchu had a first love with whom he shared a deep bond. But unfortunately, she passed away from illness at the age of 20. Since then, he had hidden behind a cynical facade, remaining alone for many years. Inin, won't you reconsider? I'll pay half the cost of raising the child. Waiting outside the operating room, he was still persisting. As for me, I remained calm. First, I am myself. Only second, am I the child's mother? Chui Nanchuan was speechless. He gave me a complicated look and nodded. As a friend, I respect all your decisions. As a man, I understand your determination to leave Hanqing. I forced a faint smile. I didn't need to look to know how bleak my expression must have been. Even though I had already made up my mind, my eyes still turned red the moment I turned away. My flat abdomen didn't make me feel like a mother, but I admit it was because of this child that I didn't directly ask for a divorce, and instead decided to give Hanqing a chance to truly understand what I was going through. Unfortunately, he didn't seize it. 11. After the anesthesia wore off, I lost all consciousness, so I had no idea that I had just gone through a life or death race against time. The patient's bleeding won't stop. Where are the family members? We need a signature right away. When the doctor rushed out of the operating room, Chui Nanchu was stunned. The documents were thrust into his hands, but he had no way to prove that he was a relative of mine. Can we leave it blank for now? Her parents aren't local, and her husband is busy. Are you kidding? Hospital rules. Call her husband right now. The patient is in critical condition. The doctor looked extremely anxious. Chui Nanyu, as if waking from a dream, frantically called Hanqing. 1, 2, 3, 13, 33, 53. No answer. By the 53rd call, it was simply hung up. Chui Nanyu went from anxious to panicked, and finally fell apart. Answer the damn phone. Hanqing, your wife is dying, and you have the nerve to spend another woman's birthday with her. He was shouting hysterically in the hospital corridor. The onlooking medical staff and patients stopped to watch the scene, visibly moved. They helped her curse the cheating man and solve the problem. Then someone said, if you can't find him, try someone who can find him. Chui Nanchu had an epiphany. Using my phone, he dialed another number. 12. Hanqing arrived 15 minutes later. Following behind him were my parents-in-law. When Hanqing arrived, he was covered in cake and cream, his tie hanging loosely around his neck, his collar wide open, and his hair completely soaked. I only learned all of this after I woke up. From Chui Nanchu, your uterine wall is naturally thin, which caused the severe bleeding, but fortunately, you received timely treatment, and we were able to save your uterus. Chui Nanchu remarked on how lucky I was. I, however, remained expressionless and asked, is Hanqing still kneeling outside? This time, Hanqing was kneeling outside the hospital room door, and no one pleaded for him. His parents knew they were in the wrong. After the surgery, my mother-in-law tried to comfort me for quite a while. Before leaving, he reluctantly held my hand and said, Inin, all these years since you married into our family, you've suffered wrongs. My son is beyond hope. If you want a divorce, we won't try to talk you out of it anymore. Just follow what your heart says. Regaining my composure, I met Chui Nanchu's complicated gaze and said calmly, help me out. Chui Nanchu wanted to talk me out of it, but he couldn't stand his ground. He could only help me into the wheelchair and push me toward the door. In the hospital corridor, Han-Cheng knelt upright, still wearing the wrinkled suit from earlier in the day, with a purplish bruise on his cheekbone. It was Cui Nanchu who hit him, in plain view of everyone. Han-Cheng did not fight back, and now, amid the constant stream of people, Han-Cheng, who never liked being watched, did not move an inch. When he saw me, his face was filled with pain and sorrow, but before he could speak, I had already tossed a document over to him. "You lost." Those three concise words made Han-Cheng's expression change dramatically. In the noisy hallway, the chatter of onlookers swirled around, yet none of it could drown out the heaviness of his breathing. Without even glancing at the papers on the ground, he stared at me with deadly intensity. Smart as he was, he quickly sensed something was off. "You chose today on purpose, just to force me to make a choice, to make me regret it." The more he spoke, the more pained he became. Finally, he slammed his fist hard against his own temple. "And me?" I rolled my eyes. "You're overthinking it. Whatever choice you make, I don't want this child." My voice weak, leaning feebly against the wall, I hit the mark, "And I know very well you can't do it." Even though it was such a simple thing, just 1 month without contacting Jiang Min. But such a simple thing, Han-Cheng couldn't do it. Jiang Min saved our lives when we were in elementary school, so we promised her that we would always gather for her birthday. In 3rd grade, Han-Cheng and his friends had the wild idea to go on an adventure. They found a shipping container to sleep in for the night. The next morning, they woke up already tens of thousands of meters in the air, barely hanging on. Fortunately, Jiang Min, who had secretly followed them, noticed in time and saved them. From then on, Jiang Min was taken into this group of men, becoming the undisputed group darling. But how they doted on her was their own business. 13. Han-Cheng agreed to the divorce. All the formalities were taken care of. Soon, the 1-month cooling-off period passed. When the two of us walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, his expression looked like he was attending a funeral. He wouldn't give up, begging me to give him one more chance. He said he wanted to atone for his sins. He said he loved me. His tall frame was bent so low it seemed his back might break. What started as pleas turned, in the end, into a desperate, relentless pestering. In the struggle, neither of us noticed that we had wandered onto the road, nor did we notice a red BMW speeding straight toward me. Bang! Everything happened too fast. By the time I reacted, Han-Cheng had already been struck and sent flying before my eyes. It was like slow motion in a movie. The last words he said to me before he was thrown back were, "I'm sorry." At that moment, my heart stopped. It was only when I heard the heavy thud of his body hitting the ground that I snapped back to reality. I rushed over. At that moment, Jiang Min rushed out from the passenger seat. Seeing that the person hit was Han-Cheng, she let out a frenzied roar. She screamed for me to die and lunged at me with a knife. But soon, she was pinned down on the hood of a car by patrolling police officers, who wrested the knife from her hand. Luin Bai, why don't you just die? If it weren't for you, why would they all cut ties with me one by one? It's all because of you. Bitch, I'll kill you. Jiang Min had gone mad, because on the day of the surgery, my parents-in-law saw Han-Cheng and that group from the compound at Jiang Min's place. Enraged, they, along with several other families, jointly blacklisted the Jiang family to quell public outrage. The Jiang family decided to sacrifice Jiang Min by sending her abroad and ordering her never to return, and the young masters of the family, who had once regarded her as a mascot, immediately distanced themselves from her the moment their own interests were truly affected. For Jiang Min, this was the darkest moment, and in her eyes, the one to blame for all of this was me. If I were dead, everything could go back to how it was. Hearing this, I found it utterly absurd. 14. Han-Cheng barely escaped with his life, but he was paralyzed on one side. Jiang Min was not sentenced to death, but was convicted of intentional injury and given a life sentence. I heard that in prison, for some unknown reason, his face was slashed and disfigured. After Han-Cheng's accident, many people came to me, his parents, his friends, my parents. His parents begged me, for the sake of our past marital bond, not to abandon Han-Cheng at this time. His friends hoped that, in light of him saving my life, I would stay and accompany Han-Cheng through this difficult time. My parents, on the other hand, wanted me to hurry back home and stop staying here looking for trouble. Finally, I went to see Han-Cheng, a once proud man, now lying in a hospital bed, needing full-time care for eating, drinking, and using the toilet. He didn't speak, but when he looked at me, his eyes were filled with regret. I thanked him. After all, he had saved my life. "I know I don't have the right to ask you to stay," Han-Cheng choked out, his voice hoarse and anguished. "All of this is my own fault, my retribution. The doctor hasn't given you a death sentence, with active treatment. You still have a chance to stand again, I said. Hearing this, Hanqing became excited. He looked at me expectantly, then said nervously and carefully, "So you are willing? I've already made plans to go back to my hometown. You know, I'm an only daughter. If it weren't for you, I would have gone back to my hometown to work right after graduation." My tone was calm and unhurried. In that instant, I saw Hanqing's face darken, like a sunflower that had lost its vitality. His eyes reddened, and his smile was bitter and self-mocking. I knew it. Someone useless like me should just rot in the mud for the rest of my life. Hanqing, we each have our own lives to lead. You can no longer influence me, nor should you be influenced by me. I interrupted his self-pity. Perhaps my gaze was too sharp, striking him straight in the heart. The ward was so quiet that you could hear a pin drop. The sunlight outside the window streamed through the glass onto me, as if draping me in a layer of golden light. 15. I returned to my hometown, one by one. Pieces of news trickled in. I could hear news from the southern city. Hanqing took 2 years to get back on his feet, but his illness had delayed his company's progress, and he had no choice but to close it down. Another new year arrived. Chui Nanshu texted me, "Happy New Year." I was helping my parents make dumplings when I got his message. Wiping the flour off my hands, I saw he'd sent a selfie taken while sitting alone on his balcony. I couldn't resist teasing him. "Spending the new year alone again? If it's really that bad, why not come to my parents' place? I can put you up for a few days soon." A reply came back, "No can do. My partner would be upset." He was referring to his first love, who had passed away many years ago. I raised an eyebrow and wrote back, "Not bad. Still upholding the code of male virtue all these years. Of course, even besties need boundaries." I smiled. "Look out the window. It's snowing, and the view is beautiful." The end.